Okay, guys, welcome to episode 3 of the Boots and Barbells podcast. Happy to have another special guest with us today. Today we have Phil Brady in. Phil, how are you, mate?
I'm really good. Thanks, Dylan. How are you?
Living the dream, mate. Living the dream. So today I'm very excited to be talking with Phil about something that probably doesn't pop up too much whenever it comes to your football and your strength and conditioning. We're going to be deep diving into mental and emotional mastery for footballers. Something a little bit different today. And who better to talk it over with than Phil? So, Phil, give yourself a quick introduction, who you are, who you help, and how you can help us today.
So, Philip Brady, I grew up in Ireland. Now I live in Northern Ireland for the last 11 years. And since I was 12, I've been focused on personal development and for the last roughly 11 years on leadership development. And I do work through executive coaching. I coach some of the top people in corporate and business owners. But I also do a lot of work in the fitness industry because I want fitness professionals and coaches to be at their best because they have important work to do. And that's how you and I know each other as well. So I think the questions you asked me was a little bit about me, what I do and how I help, or who I can help, or how I can help you today. And the emotional and mental stuff I'm paying a lot of attention to, even for myself and my own development at the moment. And I'm happy to share what's at the edge of that and some things that I'm paying attention to that might be helpful.
Yeah, mate, that is exactly why I wanted to get you on because I feel like this topic and this area probably isn't looked at or discussed enough
Hmm.
within any sort of sporting situation, professional, amateur, whatever the case may be, because I know that from personal experience, sport can be quite emotional at times.
Hmm.
And from that, that can either actually end up breaking us or we can actually use that to perform better. So what I want to cover today is how we can actually get a handle on our emotions, number one, and how can we actually use them to support and enhance performance. So
Mm.
we'll start off with probably one of the most common things that footballers will experience. We'll keep it relative to football today, which is probably pre-match anxiety,
Hmm.
especially if it is in the scenario of a bigger game, cup
Hmm.
final, derby match, playing away from home in a hostile environment, whatever that may be.
Hmm.
So we'll start off there. So, what do you feel are the first steps for getting that anxiety under control in that pre-game scenario? What would you say would be the first steps to overcoming that?
I mean, I don't use, so that's not my context that I've experienced
Mhm.
those emotions in. I do speaking on stage in front of hundreds of people, right?
So
So
it's
the
it's
emotion,
mainly performance. It's pre
yes,
like it's kind of like pre-game anxiety, performance
yes,
anxiety, even. Yes.
yes. So it's not, so I think what happens when people experience emotions is they make it personal. This is my anxiety. Nobody else has ever felt this ever. And the
Hmm.
second thing we think is, and it's forever. Right? So we forget that emotions have a half-life of roughly 90 seconds if we don't judge them.
Hmm.
If we judge anxiety before a performance as bad, you're giving it energy, it'll increase and it'll stay with you longer than it needs to. Anxiety is really helpful. It's a really positive emotion, but we're told it's not, so we judge it. And so when we experience it, we judge the emotion, so we judge ourselves, and therefore it increases, and we feel shame or that we're not good because we feel it. So I'm just trying to give like background to let's
Hmm.
place the emotion in context, flip the script of what you're told, and then we can dig into here's what it is, here's why it's good, here's what you can do when you experience it, right? So it's not bad. It actually sharpens your focus, narrows your vision, helps you focus on the task at hand, raises heart rate. So you've an elevated heart rate and increased cortisol in your system when anxiety is present, which means you're a little bit activated, which isn't a bad thing when you're pre-game, pre-performance. Really good to be a little bit activated, right? If you weren't, you'd be like, oh, whatever. I'm not even going to chase that ball. Not, I've done have the energy for it, right? So change the story of anxiety being bad. It's not bad. It's really helpful. If we judge it as bad and judge ourselves for feeling it as bad, it will hang around and stay longer than it's needed. Now we get into, okay, now I recognize I'm anxious. What do I do with it? So first is changing the story we tell about it. It's good. This is here to help me. This means I'm alive and I'm ready to go. And I could give you a different story, which is I'm anxious, therefore I'm nervous, therefore I'm not good enough, therefore I need to run away. This is too scary. I'm not good enough. All the best I've coached some Premier League footballers, and I've done some cool work in that space, and I've done some work with other people that perform in front of thousands of people, in different, not just different industries, right? So, um, none of us ever are immune to those emotions, right? We just don't talk about it. So it's got
Yeah.
to be a constant companion. That doesn't change. Your relationship to it changes. So now, again, I'm just trying to change the context and how people understand it before we experience it. Now I do two things. I elevate your heart rate. So I give you too much coffee, for example, ahead of a game. I've elevated your heart rate. Now you're walking in the door and you hear the crowd. Now you have more stress. Okay? So those two things can make you angry, frustrated, or anxious. When my body experiences anxiety, I do a couple of things. Uh, in the wild, in cave person days, I don't know if your clients are mostly male or female, right? So I'm deliberately saying
Mhm.
cave person. In cave person days, um, anxiety was the emotion we felt against a perceived threat or an unknown threat. So the tree rustled and made some noise. We're not sure what that is, so we have to get ready to fight, flight, or freeze, right? So again, there's a purpose behind it. Um, we often, with anxiety, don't name the threat. So, for example, I'm nervous about playing well. I'm anxious about playing well. I'm anxious about what the other crowd might say to me. I'm anxious about how I might perform for my teammates. I'm anxious about getting injured. Instead, it's just unconscious, and we don't actually know what's causing the anxiety. And I've talked to somebody that you'll know in the mastermind, and we talk about. He said to me before, "I have 1,000 things to do." I'm like, like name them, and it turned out there was 11. Oh, I have a million things to do. Okay, name them out. It's 11. When we name the things we're anxious about, we can either do something about it or let them go. And that changes how we feel about it in our mind, in the body. I mean, in the wild, if we experienced anxiety, we would violently shake our bodies and shake that energy out of our system and mobilize the energy rather than like freezing and getting stuck with it. So if you look up impala, I think it's impala being attacked in the wild on YouTube. I mean, watch the video. It violently shakes after being attacked. Most of these attacks that we're afraid of are never life or death. They just feel to our nervous systems like they are. So shaking violently will allow you to move some of that energy around your system, changing the story of what it means and what it means for who you are as a player also helps. And then reflecting back on times you've overcome that nerve or emotion will help you see in the future when it shows up. I've done it before. I can do it again. I'm going to have the courage to face it, not run away from it. And the phrase to summarize this, Dylan, hopefully, and again, you can like ask questions on anything I've shared if it's helpful, is
Mhm.
the monsters under your bed are all in your head. So if you actually face these things more often, you realize it's just a sensation in your body, like thirst or like discomfort when you need to move in your seat. But we're told it's bad, and it's not bad. It's really
Mhm.
helpful.
Yeah, so probably two biggest things that I took from what you were saying there was number one, what caught my attention first of all was how you actually labeled anxiety as a positive, whereas a lot of people would go straight to negative
Hmm.
and look to actually resist that anxiety, whereas
Hmm.
you kind of say to move towards that anxiety and embrace it. So that's probably, I would say that's probably the first step for any player who's looking to become more confident and decrease their anxiety, is it's kind of actually the opposite of what you think it would be. Instead of moving away from it, it's moving towards it.
And let me just double down on the language, right? So embrace might be too
Mm.
hard because it's fucking uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Accept it first.
Mm.
It's just a sensation. Going into a sauna and an ice bath is the same,
Mhm.
but we're told the cold is bad or uncomfortable, or you have to tighten against it. You have to regulate. No, no, no. If you just experience cold water, it's just a sensation. Same with anxiety. It's just a sensation. It's just more energy. It's more uncomfortable.
Mhm.
It's not bad. Sorry.
So,
So to accept, then you can learn to embrace it, but that's 2.0. Don't worry about that initially. Accept
mhm.
it and welcome it. If you resist it, it'll only increase in a negative direction.
Yeah, something as well that I've seen with a lot of players, what they'll actually do is, as you say, they'll flip the script, and instead of accepting it, use that anxiety as
Yes.
excitement, because
Yes.
they're pretty similar in how they feel. So a lot of players, when they get that sensation, they'll actually get motivated by it and excited by it, but other players will resist it, and that's kind of where the fighting comes in. So you can, so as you say, maybe just start with trying to accept that, and then start to gradually try and embrace that and use it to your advantage. Is that what you would agree with,
Yes.
or?
And you've picked up on something that maybe deepens the message a little bit, right? So I
Mhm.
said anxiety is two things: elevated heart rate, increased cortisol in your system. So I can see this in a graph. I can send you the graph. You can Google it. I mean, none of this is my stuff. It's just what I've learned about this stuff. That's in a not safe nervous system, right? So I'm going into this thing that I'm afraid of, that I'm not sure what it is. So the emotion is anxiety, not excitement. If I help my nervous system feel safe, I can experience it as anxiety, or sorry, as excitement. So two ways can do that, mind and body. Mind, that's why I say about flip the script. Change the story of what it means. It's energy to help me perform better. Oh, actually, now I can be a little bit excited about that. The second part is in my body. If I'm in an anxious state, I can make myself anxious in my body by doing big inhales like Wim Hof type breathing. We don't call
Mhm.
that anxiety, we call it energized just because of the story about it. But typically, when we're anxious, we breathe like this. Right? So it's very chesty and it's lots of inhales, right? So my nervous system there is not safe. It's activated, probably a little bit stressed. Now, with my body, to make it feel safe, is long, slow exhales. So if I notice anxiety showing up, long, slow exhales will also tell my nervous system it's safe. Now I can use the energy as excitement. So we can nearly move. We have to accept and recognize it showing up, and then we can move or embrace and cultivate the positive emotion that we can create from it instead. So hopefully that just emotions are emotion, energy in motion. When we say it's bad, it gets stuck and we lose the movement. We can move it from anxiety to excitement by accepting it, experiencing it, and then allowing it to move. Regulating our nervous system through breath, shaking violently. It's called bioenergetics if people want to look it up.
Brilliant. So this is gonna bring me on to the next topic of conversation. So with anxiety, anxiety is where we're kind of looking from present to future. Now I want to flip the script and I want to look at maybe after game emotions. So main one for a lot of players will be frustration. So
Mm.
for example, if the game didn't go their way after a loss, I know for example, me personally, that if I play a game on a Saturday and the game doesn't go our way or something's happened, we've conceded a last minute goal, lose the game, and frustration's really high. A
Mm.
lot of players, I'm sure, will relate to this. It just ruins your whole weekend. Okay.
Mm.
And it kind of can seep into the following week. How do we go about overcoming that frustration? Okay, because I know from personal experience, I feel like frustration is what I need to motivate myself to come back stronger sometimes.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I don't want to let that carry on and dampen my future mood. So how do we go about relieving that frustration? And what's a resourceful way to go about that frustration? Because it will be there.
If you have access to a car and you can drive away from people that you could hurt and that you can't hurt yourself as well, scream like crazy in the car, right?
Okay.
Frustration is energy. Like you said, it wants you to sharpen next time and play better and put the energy towards something. So there's a lot of, again, positive energy in frustration. When you're frustrated, you're more likely to take action, right? Roughly true.
Hmm.
Train harder, work harder, do drills differently, whatever. Um, Again, it's not bad. It's just it hangs around longer than is helpful.
Hmm.
It right? That's what you said. It can ruin a weekend because of the frustration.
Absolutely.
It can also be anger. Like I'm angry that we lost last minute. We conceded a goal. I'm angry. Typically, we're afraid of expressing anger because we're told anger in society is bad. What if it's not? It's just the expressions of angry that are unhelpful. Get angry, not at somebody or at something, but I express anger all the time now because I never used to. And
Get it out of your system.
get it out of your system. Our
Is
bodies
that
eat.
why you feel it's lingering around for some people so much?
It lingers because we store
It's
it
not
in our
expressed.
bodies, and our loved ones typically get it because it
Hmm.
leaks. It's like a pressure cooker. We're going around wildly carrying these emotions that we're just not harnessing. And so they leak out typically when you increase stress, and we damage relationships, we damage ourselves, and it's unhelpful. Get it out of your system. Medicine ball slams. Take it out on a hill climb. Shout and scream in the car. Violently. Do you do video podcasts or audio?
Both. Do you know what, mate? Like a lot
Test
of
it.
us will do
Test.
that. If you're obviously if you play football, you'll be quite familiar with how things go in the changing room after a bad defeat or something like that. Um, it's definitely something that a lot of players do, and they're not afraid to hold back. And it's probably, but at the same time, it's probably not a resourceful place to do it at times.
Yes.
As you say, it's maybe about learning to keep it under control until you're in a place where you can do that. But then again, whatever works for you. Do you know what I mean? So,
Well, I mean, you also don't want to damage relationships with your teammates by getting
yeah.
angry at them or hurting them,
Hmm.
right? So your anger is the expression of anger is good. The expression at somebody is not always good because it's hard to harness anger in the moment. But anger, when expressed, is determination and clarity. So I'm clear now that we could have done this better and this better. How might we do that better next time together?
Hmm.
If I
Yeah,
hadn't
I feel like
expressed the
there's.
anger, it would be blame. You fucked up. Don't do that again. Do that next time.
Mhm.
Unhelpful. Why would I do that to help you and your opinion?
Yeah, I feel like there's two paths that people can go down whenever it comes to their anger and frustration from performance. It can either be number one, a motivator. I feel like, especially, it's just kind of the way I am.
Hmm.
Yes, I'll be frustrated in the moment. I'll be angry in the moment. After a few days, I'll be like, fuck, that can't happen again. And that actually
Yes.
motivates me to go and train more and do a
Yep.
bit more
Hmm.
and work towards not letting that happen again.
Hmm.
Or I feel like sometimes I've seen it in the past where players will be like, even I've felt this way myself in the past, where it's like, why am I even bothering? And like, just
Yes.
pack it in, not
It
bother,
turns to
not try.
depression. We take anger out at ourselves
Hmm.
if we suppress it. Now I'm angry not out there, I'm angry in here. And that contracts us, increases doubt. So we don't want to move back into the world, don't want to move back onto the pitch. And all those bullshit stories about imposter syndrome, like who am I, self doubt, all that kind of horseshit, just increases and gets more energy because we haven't got the anger out. We're unclear, so it's easier to retreat. Express anger more often, not at somebody. Use the car, go for a hike,
Hmm.
scream in the morns, scream in any mountain range that you're at. Nobody will hear you.
Make
Test
sure
it.
you're
Get
well
it
out
out
of
of
the
your
way so the
system.
police don't come up.
But I mean, do what I did there a second ago. I mean, in the gym, you can probably bounce, you can probably do medicine ball slams. Get
Hmm.
it out at something.
Hit a bag, whatever it is. Yeah, no, it's funny because everything you're kind of saying is probably the opposite of what people are expecting to hear, which is
Yes.
good. Like flipping the script, think of anxiety as a positive emotion instead of keeping your cool. Wait until you're in a situation where you can lose your cool. You know what I mean? And do it in a safe manner. I think that's really helpful. So what I want to flip on to now, Phil, is I want to move to the other side of things and I want to help players with using their emotion and their mental state to actually improve their performance. And
Hmm.
what I want to focus on mainly, it's a term that's thrown around quite a lot lately, is flow state
Hmm.
and how to create flow state within games. I'm sure players will be familiar with it. You'll see players out there who get into that sort of flow state where they're playing freely, they're full of confidence. Like, how do we actually go about creating that flow state for ourselves, and what are some strategies we can use to develop that?
So, how I understand flow is the balance of two things: challenge, so a little bit of
Hmm.
stress, with skill level. And when they're at the kind of Goldilocks or sweet spot, we feel stretched but not strained. And so we're forced to be present. And that's when we play best. Not when we're dwelling on what's just happened and the
Hmm.
passive missed, not anxious about what could happen next. Right? So, I mean, do you want to play with this a little bit for people?
Go for it. Let's do it.
So, I did a TEDx recently. So,
Hmm.
probably the most doubt I felt before a talk that I've ever done. There's some famous people on stage: Carl Frampton, Phil Graham, some other people that you'll know from around that kind of industry.
Hmm.
And I'm like, who am I to be on this stage? Right? This is why the talk about anxiety ahead of time is helpful, because if anxiety leaks in, it's very hard to be flowy when you're anxious, right?
Hmm.
So that's why it's get it out of your system, shake, breathe, tell yourself you're safe. But what the safety and breath does is bring you a little bit more present. So, for example, if you connect to your breath now, you did a mindful breath there when we were talking about
Hmm.
it. I could see you doing a
Yeah.
proper breath, right? That immediately takes you out of your head and all the scenarios you've been playing with, past or future, and takes you a little bit closer to right now. The body is always present, the mind is never and cannot be fully present. So when you pay attention to your body, for example, whether you're standing on the pitch or walking or moving, to become very present, feel the grass under your feet, as in feel the weight of your feet on the ground, right? And that moves your attention from here to the furthest point into your body, in your feet. Maybe it's focus on your breath. Whatever will take you to the present will help you get towards flow. Then it's I mean, if you're in Premier League football or playing, I don't know what the divisions are, like Division 17, you're probably
Right.
not going to get stretched because your skill level is too high, right? So play with people that are better than you. Find ways to challenge yourself. If it's, I mean, you do tests around like speed and those kind of things, right? Maybe it's
Hmm.
I'm going to test myself to run even quicker or longer or go for more passes. Like I don't know what the stuff is, but like come up with challenges ahead of time when you can go, I'm going to test myself properly here, my skill level. Play with people that are better than you. Tell them that they could like develop and get further ahead. Um, Yeah, maybe let me pause there and see what resonates or what doesn't, and then we can like continue on from where you kind of
Yeah,
landed.
like I think the big thing that I took from that is the whole presence thing.
Mm.
So when I know from experience, I'm sure everybody's experienced that kind of flow state whenever they're playing freely. The big thing for me is just not being so much in your head and just allowing yourself to move freely in game. So you're not overthinking things. You're just as I say, just moving freely and playing with confidence. And it's just finding out how to move from your head and bring yourself into the presence and into your body a bit more.
Yeah.
And like as you say, you were saying about feeling the weight under your feet. So that's probably what you would call a grounding technique. So grounding
Yes.
techniques, like as you say, like feeling the weight under your feet, um, deepening your breath, things like
Hmm.
that, where you can just settle down, bring yourself from your mind back into your body, and then that's a good place to start from, and then move from there. So
And let's double down on that as well a little bit, right? So think about who's the most nervous, like famous footballer that there is? Is there somebody that like gives off that like, oh, they're really nervous or stressed?
um,
I don't really know, but
I don't know. I couldn't think of anybody personally. I think they hide it quite well. They're well trained for it, famously.
okay. Tell me who
Um,
you think is playful when they play football, even at the highest levels. Because I can think of two people straight away.
Yeah, like you're thinking of the best players in the world, obviously, like your Lionel Messi's, your Mohamed Salah's, all that there. Um, so what was the point we were trying to get at with this?
So the point there is around grounding and safety to play, as in to play, uh, to be playful with the football.
Yeah,
So
I
then you're in a
think.
nervous system that's safe, so I can be in flow. If you're in a
Mhm,
stressed state or a sympathetic state, it's very hard to be in flow.
mhm.
And I mean, can we go like 10.0 deep just for a second?
Go for it.
They're also not attached to the next shot or the one that's just happened. They're just where they are
Mhm.
and they're having fun with it.
Yeah,
And
I
if
think
you're
that's a big point there,
unattached,
Phil.
it's huge.
Yeah, I think that's a big point there where you're saying they're not attached to the next moment or they're not trying to force something to happen,
Yes.
as you would say, which I think a lot of players will try to do, especially when you're playing from behind or you're in a losing position. You're like you need to force something, and that's where you can overdo it and you're not
Yes.
playing as freely and you're not being as creative. You're just trying to punch through, and that doesn't
Yes.
always work. So
And uses more energy. So you're not going to be as clear. You're not going to be as present. You're in a stressed state and you're going to be more frustrated afterwards because you're contracted. You're in a tighter state.
100%, mate. Um, a player that actually came to my mind there when you were talking about it and the qualities that you were talking about there was probably young player coming up through Barcelona, Lamine Yamal. Okay, I don't know
Mm.
if you know of him, but he's
And have you
six.
ever seen him before games?
That's what I was going to get to, yeah. So Lamine Yamal, obviously 16, 17 now. And like if you watched him before like the Champions League semi-final there last year and stuff, literally the most chilled out guy you'll ever see. You know what I mean? And he is probably at the moment the most creative footballer on the planet, or one
Yes.
of them within the top five. And like that's what struck me quite well because I guarantee all the qualities that we were talking about there, not being so attached to the next moment in front of us, not getting frustrated or overthinking on the pitch, just playing with freedom. And yeah, that's exactly who came to mind there whenever you brought that up. So I thought I'd bring that to
Yeah.
mind as well.
And I was thinking of Ronaldinho ahead of time, but I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
he is
there's
such an
absolutely.
example, right? And I had another point about him.
It always seems to be for the most creative players that we've kind of brought up there as well, the most famous creative players. Like that seems to kind of be their temperament and how they go about life, how relaxed they are.
Yeah, and I mean, relaxed isn't threatened or stressed or
Mhm.
anxious. It's let's hold this lightly and play football for fun. And anything that stops you as a player treating it like that, just get curious.
Mhm.
Oh, it's because I wanted my dad's approval. I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to disappoint somebody. Now that I'm aware of those things that stop me playing for enjoyment, now I can notice them, not judge them as bad, but unhelpful. And now I can get back to having enjoyment. We should
Yeah.
be enjoying this stuff because we will play better. We'll perform better if we're enjoying it, not if we're forcing it, like you said.
Yeah, I think for me personally, growing up, whenever I was playing football, to speak from my personal experience, it was always about trying to work harder, make things happen, force yourself, do whatever you can to win. But as I've got older now, I still struggle with that, don't get me wrong. But something I had a conversation with Annika McGivern before, and I talked about this in the last episode, and something that stuck with me whenever we were having this conversation about getting into flow state and performing at your best was I don't remember who the quote exactly was from, but I think it was by a manager, and it was you can't beat a player who's having the time of their life. And that stuck with me because instead of trying to be so forceful on the pitch, it's actually trying to have more fun and enjoy it and have that mixture of the two qualities.
Hmm.
And that's what I always try and kind of remind myself to do a bit more of. Like,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, like, this is what I'm reminding myself as well, because as I get older, I know I'm not going to be playing football forever. And I'm like, why am I really doing this? And it's because I want to have fun. Like, that's the reason you got into football in the first place. I think
Hmm.
people get carried away with just, especially at youth level and all, like how driven people are for winning, performance, contracts, all these different things. But
Hmm.
whenever it comes back down to it, the reason you got into it was to have fun. And I
Hmm.
think we need to kind of get back into that a wee bit more. I think football is becoming more and more rigid. That's why you don't see these kind of players. They are starting to pop up again through like Lamine Yamal, etc. But football got so rigid there for a while. Like you have to play this certain way, you have to be in these certain positions, and we kind of started losing those creative players. But I think it is starting to come back a little bit more.
Hmm. We
So
got stuck.
what's that?
We got stuck.
Yeah.
Must be perfect all the time forever,
Hmm.
which is a mind thing, not a let's play and flow, which is again how we see some of the best players playing. They're
Hmm.
not overthinking, they're not forcing, they're just allowing, they're surrendering to whatever will happen. I mean, that sounds hard to go from here to there, but it is also just that fuck it, let's see what happens next. I'm so excited about
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. Obviously, I think a big part of I kind of touched on it there, where players are afraid to be expressive and creative on the pitch and actually have fun with their football is because it's
Hmm.
kind of drilled out of everybody at the moment, even at youth level. It's just all about you have to do things this way, you have to play to win, you have to do whatever it takes, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's probably why a lot of players are actually falling out of love with football and stuff at the moment
Hmm.
because the fun has kind of been taken out of it and it's been pushed towards results,
Yeah,
which
and
both are
work.
important. Don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of players could do with moving towards just trying to get their enjoyment back for football.
Yeah, and maybe so I mean we can't solve that, right? But what we
Mhm.
could solve is inviting people to recognize you will be in a system of that where it's
Mhm.
work, it's this, da 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 da, you have to da da da, all these shoulds. Don't live there. Visit that. And visit the playful, the fun, the
Mhm.
keepy uppies, the heads and volleys, or whatever it is, right? And have fun with it. And then you get the flow between the two, not stuck in
Mhm.
one.
Yeah, I
And
think I
your
think
full
as a
game
spectrum,
will
yeah,
become
as a
better because of
spectrum, you
that.
can get caught up maybe on either end, but as you say,
Yes.
the middle is where you're going to find that flow. So having that expression, enjoying yourself, and also knowing what your role is and being dedicated to that role and working hard and finding that balance of the two.
Hmm.
Whereas I feel like it's kind of been pulled too much this way,
Hmm.
and we need to kind of just bring it back into the middle a bit. I don't know. That's my personal opinion, but yeah, I think if you look at the best players in the world and the ones that are coming through at the moment, the younger players, that's what we're kind of seeing a wee bit more of that wee bit of expression, creativity, flow state, rather than run up the line. If the cross isn't done, don't take your man on, come back, pass it backwards. You're seeing that so much in football nowadays where wingers don't actually get at players, get at fullbacks, for example.
Hmm.
But what we're seeing now with the best teams in the world, like the Barcelona, the Paris Saint-Germains, they're being allowed to play with creativity, flow, expression, their wingers, and we're seeing some really good stuff. And we're seeing um, teams just going back to that creative side of things, which is good to see. So,
And if you think about what you just said there as well, if cross doesn't land, well, then you run this routine. That
mhm,
routine is in the past. it's not what's actually happening in the present. You
Mhm.
can't be creative now with a past routine. It has to be like uh, reacting to what's happening in the moment. That's where creativity is. Not let me run these 3-step thing from the past routine that I didn't. Like that's not it. Not it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I love that. That's why I was touching on that because I see it starting to come back into the game a little bit with the better teams and stuff,
Mm,
and I'd like to see more of it come into the
mm,
game. Um, so we've touched on obviously anxiety, we've touched on frustration, and we've touched on flow state. Is there anything else you feel that would be resourceful to touch on in terms of performance with emotion and mental state that you feel would be good to bring up at the moment, Phil?
So two things came to mind. So
Mm-hmm.
one is ahead of a game or afterwards. I mean, I carry this everywhere I go. Just brain dump what's on your mind about the game or about what's going on for you at the time
Mm-hmm.
with no attachment, no judgment. Just get it out of your head and it'll have less effect on your performance. But the second is it was something about that, like when games don't go well, or I don't know what level the people that will be listening to this are playing at, but like if there's
It won't matter.
crowds,
They'll all be dealing with similar
if
situations.
the crowds that you're playing, you could say against, are horrible,
Yeah.
that can feel to our nervous systems unsafe and traumatizing. And it's to find relationships that you can have some of those type of conversations with, to almost debrief afterwards, and share some of those things that you're hurt by or angry about or frustrated about or all those kind of things. Like it might not be the players that are on the team because it's like, oh, I don't want to admit that I felt doubt or nerves or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but or that I was scared when that person said they're going to kill me if I do score. I mean, I've had that playing football, right? So it wasn't me, but one of the really good players on the team was threatened. If you score, we're going to kill you. Like, so how do you get in flow state with that, right? It's a little bit more
Mhm.
difficult. So it's almost a have a practice for afterwards that you can literally shake off that trauma experience. Again, look at bioenergetics. Elliot Holtz has a really good warm up video on YouTube. I don't want to give him all the likes, but it works, the stuff. And it's all in the body and in the nervous system. So journal, get it out of your head. Uh, you're good enough as you are, and you could improve. Because I think that's sometimes a thing. Um, and go and have a little bit more fun. Should be
Mhm.
enjoyable, and you'll probably play better when you're enjoying it, not when you're forcing it, like you said earlier.
Absolutely, mate. So before we finish up, I just want to finish on this last point. I ask everybody who I bring on to the podcast this one mess or this one question before we finish up each episode. And from today's episode, if you could leave everybody with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Okay, it literally came up in a coaching conversation this morning. Um, Separate from football, you are enough as you are, and you are worthy of love. And on the football pitch, it's all about skill development. Focus on the skill development. It is it is not uh, how you play on the pitch does not determine how much love you're worthy of. I can dig into it if you want more clarity on it. For example, you have what, two kids now,
Two
two
kids,
girls,
girl and a boy.
girl and a boy.
Good mix.
Whether they played football now better or worse, would they be worthy or less worthy of love?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. But yet at our stage of life, it matters to people.
Hmm.
Unconsciously in our nervous systems, we go, I'm not good enough. I feel shame. I'm bad. All this kind of stuff because I had a bad performance. And we tell horrible stories about ourselves. Separate the two. You're worthy of love and you could get better at playing football. And
Wait,
then I
mate.
think you'll play better
Absolutely.
and you'll be happier.
And you'll be happier. Yeah. As I say, kind of the whole thing I was kind of moving towards is just trying to have more fun with it.
Mm.
And instead of trying to force things to happen, just enjoy the process a little bit more and try and, as you say, you need that challenge, but also as well, like you're not who you are is not decided by how good of a footballer you are as well. I think you were kind of getting that.
Yeah, because I mean,
There's more
people
to you than
retire.
football.
Yeah, you
Instead of
retire.
having that as your identity, kind of have it separate to that. And like everything you say in this episode is kind of funny. It's kind of like what the opposite of what you think we would be saying, but it actually helps.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. So yeah. So main touching points were anxiety is a positive emotion.
Mm.
What was it with frustration?
Get it out of your nervous
Get
system.
it
Get
out of
it
your
out.
nervous system.
Express it, not at someone.
Yes, sweet. To get into flow state, get yourself grounded, get yourself out of your head, into your body, and just try and have more fun with the process and stop
Mm.
trying to force everything so much.
Mm. And football is a part of your life. It's not all of who you are.
Hmm.
You are worthy of love, and football is a part of it because you will leave football at some point and you're still going to exist. So
Hmm.
get curious about what that is and what that looks like now. And so you put football in its right place, that it's not all your life, it's just a lot of it.
Awesome, mate. So thanks so much for coming on board the podcast. Really helpful for anybody who would like to learn a little bit more from Phil and see a little bit more of his face. Where can the people find you, mate?
I mean, Instagram is probably the easiest. Vitamin P coaching. So P is for Philip, obviously. My wife calls
Mhm.
me Vitamin P, but it's also for parasympathetic, which is all about the stuff that I've been talking about: fun, playfulness, safety, excitement, enjoyment, happiness, ease, all that kind of stuff. The more we can live and experience parasympathetic activation, I think the more alive we'll feel in a better direction. And yeah, send me a message. I'm always happy to help.
Awesome. So if you're a player or anybody who feels like you need more of those qualities in your life, then definitely give Phil a follow or even message him. He'll be happy to help. So thanks so much for coming on board, Phil. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure
Likewise.
I'll get chatting to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
All the best, mate.
Thank you.